In this video, we are going to cover how to future-proof your agency, specifically how to streamline and scale your business and reclaim your life. I know if you are a digital marketing agency or a creative service agency or just a consultant and service provider in that marketing and creative space, you probably are overworking and in some cases, maybe even underpaid. And you're working nights and weekends and your business has become your life. Here at Alt Agency, we believe that your business should be built around your life. And we've been consulting agencies how to do so ever since. So I want to break down a lot of the lessons that we've learned on how to actually future-proof your business moving forward. So if you stay till the end of this video, here's what you're going to learn. First, why the traditional more clients, more staff agency model is obsolete, in my opinion. We're going to uncover the 3 essential income streams that every single agency should implement to double their profits and minimize their operational headaches, and why building authority through demonstrating your expertise with your intellectual property, IP, is your secret weapon for success and how it can rapidly position you as the leading expert in your market. The critical systems that you need to transform your business into a self-sustaining machine thrives with minimal input from you, the founder. And lastly, the insights into the proven business model that has enabled me and my clients to build 6- and 7-figure enterprises that operate smoothly with significantly less stress and less overwhelm in the business. Now you might be asking, like, who is this guy? If you're new to this channel, my name is Greg Hickman. I'm the founder of Alt Agency. And for the first 10 years of my career, I actually come from big and small agencies, ending on the client side. So I've worked with agencies that were a part of Omnicom, where we represented Pepsi, Unilever. I went to a small boutique shop where we represented professional sports teams and brands like AT&T. I went into a small media company where we represented a lot of online universities and schools. And I've been on the client side for a large retail brand where I was responsible for hiring and bringing in consultants and agencies to support our small internal marketing team. That was the first 10 years of my career. The last 10, I've actually been building my own agency and my consultancy and training business. So we started off as a marketing and automation agency, and we've transitioned over the years into adding training and digital products and consulting that has kind of morphed our business into the model that we have today, which is very much what we're going to be talking about. Now, I have built my business around my life. We're able to do 7 figures a year plus, and I mountain bike multiple times a week. I spend a ton of time with my family, and I probably work about 30 hours a week. Now, that's not saying that that's what you need to do, but I have the ability to kind of work on what I want to work on, when I want to work on it. And I'm not always kind of burning the midnight oil and responding to client demands like I did in the early days when I was starting my agency. And so I want to bring to you kind of a masterclass, if you will, how to future-proof your business. So why listen to me? Again, since 2014, I've actually now done this personally for myself twice, and we've worked with hundreds of clients to do the exact same. So what we're sharing is something I've actually done, and it'll work if you do the work. So that being said, you'll kind of vibe from this video if you say some of these things to yourself. So here's what we actually hear from the agencies and the consultants that we work with. They say things like, we want to grow our business and have a successful agency, but we didn't want to keep burning out just to scale up. They say that we love what we do and we wanted to find a better, more streamlined, focused way of doing it. And in a way, that actually feels more, find that it feels more aligned with the agency of the future and not simply repeating the old way of doing things. And you might be saying, I'm stuck in a rut and not enjoying work as much as I used to, like a lot of our clients when they come to us. You might be stuck in fulfillment and want to find a better way to serve your clients and get your clients results, something that's a little bit more done with you or leveraged based on the opportunities you see out there. You might want to remove yourself from the day-to-day of the business and focus on the business instead of in it. Some of our clients also say things like, our current model creates a lot of churn and a lot of burnout for our existing team members, maybe you yourself as the founder, and we constantly have to sell and deliver one client at a time. We want more leverage to get us out of this cycle and create space for our team members to truly create and provide financial abundance for our team. We want systems that have more time, so we have more time to work on the business and also other non-business related stuff. You might be like our clients and say things like, my clients only want me and expect me to deliver all the services instead of my team. You might be saying, I want to grow and make more money, but I also don't want a huge team to have to manage. Well, if that's you, then you're in the right place. And you might be asking, how can I transition my legacy legacy clients into these new, more leveraged, productized offerings. That, my friends, is what we're going to be kind of diving into here to make sure you're in the right place. So I just want to know in the comments, does any of this sound like something that you've said or that you're feeling right now? Let me know which of these kind of resonates with you in the comments below. Now, here's the real reason that we are here and why do we need to future-proof our business? The game has changed. It has fundamentally changed. So what do I mean when I say the game has changed? First of all, many agencies struggled in 2023 and 2024 after seeing record growth between 2021 and 2022. There's tons of reports that are showing this. People have invested in growth, but then that growth didn't keep happening after those years, right? We invested in more team or more tech or office space or whatever. And the growth after 2022 going into 23 and 2024 wasn't keeping pace with the big investment that we might have made to handle the new capacity. Maybe right now you're experiencing sales cycles are a bit longer. There's a little bit of lower trust and higher skepticism in the marketplace, depending upon the types of clients you serve. The marketing environment is more competitive. There's a bit of an economic vulnerability. And we also want our business to serve us, not the other way around. One thing I can say for sure coming out of COVID is that people obviously value their non-business activities, right? They've realized that they need to have interests and hobbies and things like that they can't just be in an office all the time. They've realized the benefit of kind of the work-life balance or work-life integration. And so you might just be at a stage where all of this is happening, but more so you just want to make sure that your business is designed to serve you, not the other way around. And again, we've seen this in many reports like this one from Vendasta, where basically a ton of agency owners were surveyed on what were their biggest challenges in the last year. And they said things like scaling services and operations, balancing new business development with existing client work, competing with larger, more established agencies. They asked what their most pressing pain points were. And they said things like maintaining project profitability and the margins, managing team workload, ensuring proper utilization of resources, balancing multiple projects and deadlines. Some of the takeaways from these studies were most agencies struggle with maintaining profit. Low client churn rates may not always be a good thing, especially if it means hanging on to low-paying clients, which is one of the top reasons we see agencies and consultancies being held back. We're holding on to those legacy clients. We're seeing things like more than half of agencies reported earnings of 1 million or less in 2002, highlighting that there is an opportunity to increase revenue and expand. They see it, they feel it. Yet the route to success is less about the sheer volume of work or clients, and it's more about smart scaling strategies, which is really what this whole presentation is about. How to start thinking about growth in a smart way, where it's not just, I'm going to go get X more team members so that I can support Y more clients. And the COO of Vendasta said, in the days of growth at all costs mentality have come to an end. The focus has shifted to leveraging ways agencies can still achieve growth while keeping their operations lean. It might require a shift in your business model and a different approach to problem solving. We got to focus on what we do best. We have to exceed client expectations and double down on profitable and scalable work. So if you're a small agency and you've been doing a lot of custom projects and is serving all different sorts of avatars, this is likely why you're experiencing a lot of these things. This is how we've seen it time and time again. My belief, my friends, the greatest opportunity right now for each and every one of you is the fact that the lines between being an agency, being a consultant, being a creator, and even having a physical SaaS product, software, are converging, right? The lines between these things have blurred. And that's actually good for you because now we can use the most efficient ways to get clients results, tech-enabled services. Maybe we need to consult them instead of do the work for them. Maybe we need to create some curriculum that they can consume on their own so they can get ahead, so that we can help them solve a specific problem for that specific person that we serve. So this is an opportunity that I see that we've been capitalizing on for a handful of years, and we've seen a lot of our clients winning with as well, which is why I know that you can win this way too. If you just understand the fact that you can harness technology, AI, tech-enabled services, but also sometimes best serving your client doesn't require you to be the labor. It might require you to create solutions or training or consult and advise. Those lines come together and we have a really great way to serve clients in a more leveraged, smart way for us. The 4 principles that I'm going to be taking you through the rest of this video are this. Number 1, 3 income streams. We all must have 3 income streams. So I want to hop over to a worksheet here on my iPad. So for each of these income streams, we're actually going to align them with the different type of buyer. And we have 3 different types of buyers, or over time, you will eventually have 3 different types of buyers. So the first type of buyer is what we call clients. And clients are the ones that get your services, right? So I'm just going to write services right here. But we also can have members. And so to create the distinction between what's the difference between a client and a member? Well, a member is going to be buying what we call programs. Programs can consist of training. Programs can consist of consulting, coaching, workshops, etc. And lastly, we have customers, okay? Customers buy products. Products could be things like books, could be things like templates, could be things like courses. The distinction that I use for a customer related offer is that it doesn't require a human to deliver, okay? So you could do a workshop that is like a recording of a workshop. That would be a customer offer. But you could also deliver that workshop in real time, in real life to people, and that would be more of a membership type offer. And here's the thing. On the right side here, you can see at the highest level, clients' services are typically low volume and high labor, where as if you slide down the scale, you actually, with products, courses, books like that, well, you can sell high volume because it's low labor. And here's the thing, it's a continuum, right? It's not either or. You can have offers that really kind of slide up this scale. The real question is like, how kind of leveraged do you really want to be? Now, it's a safe assumption at the top of the pyramid, this is your most expensive. And at the bottom of the pyramid, this is your least expensive from what you are charging. Now, one other little section that I like to add inside of clients, just for distinction, because you've seen the rise of this over the last handful of years, is productized services. So clients up here, when I'm saying, hey, like, let's look at our clients, what's the difference between clients for a service and a productized service? The distinction here is this. Right now, many of you, or a lot of agencies, the work is still a la carte or bespoke or custom. And so when I say clients, you're probably more hands-on. They have a lot of access to you, and you're maybe catering your solutions and deliverables to what they need. A productized service is actually a fixed outcome for a fixed price. And so this is where we really start to see systematic delivery. And so just to, again, kind of distinguish the difference, I'll call these people subscribers. They are subscribing to a productized service. There's a handful of books out in the marketplace right now around subscription-based services. You've seen even software companies go from, like Adobe was one of the first to pioneer this, when you got a box of Photoshop, but now it's a monthly subscription. And you've seen service providers kind of follow suit. So that's why I'm using the distinction of subscribers for a productized service. So you kind of actually have technically 4 buyer segments, but for the sake of the conversation, we have clients, we have members, and we have customers, and it's a sliding scale. So hopefully that makes sense. And so when we think about what your business model will look like when you go to having 3 income streams instead of your traditional one, on one side, the old way, the traditional model, you have clients that span many categories, right? That's why your work becomes bespoke. You probably solve large, multifaceted problems that take forever to deliver just to justify this monthly retainer that you sell. And you are constantly suggesting new work to do or accept any new projects that your clients suggest just because you want to keep your clients happy, likely because you don't know where the next client is coming from. So you just let the scope keep expanding. And you're going to sell whatever the client needs, whether you can do it or not, and also whether you enjoy it or not. And in this model, you're typically full service or a la carte. And I want to call out one distinction here because I don't see many people talking about it. And it's quite frustrating, to be honest with you. If you are a full service agency, every single client uses the full service. So if you have 5 different deliverables, 5 services, every client uses all 5. Now, you're probably saying, but Greg, that's not how we do it. Right, because you're not full service. You are a la carte. You have a full menu of services, but the client chooses. And so some clients get these 2, the other clients get these 3. Some clients just want this 1. Oh, this other client wants an additional one. So you went from having 5 to now having 6. That is a la carte. And that is the pain for many clients. If you can get started and get traction, you can get to $1 million a year easy with focusing on fewer deliverables for one type of person. So right now, if you're stuck and you're doing bespoke and a la carte work, likely the reason you don't have systems, the reason your margins are low, you have operational complexity, hiring experts to help you has been difficult, is because you're just offering a more complex service. So when you do all this, really what we're doing is selling labor, right? That's what we're doing. Clients look at us as, we're going to come in, we're going to be an outsourced team, and they're going to look at us like, well, we can get these people to do the work and we don't have to pay them healthcare or any of that stuff. The new model, we actually focus on a specific client type. You're there to solve a specific problem. You are a highly sought after industry expert expert. You're out in the marketplace. People know who you are. You deliver results. You get paid well. And you've actually productized and packaged your process or methodology. Okay. And when you do this, you're selling outcomes and results. And so you are actually much more like selling a product, because a product will have a fixed outcome. So that's principle one. Principle two is we got to create demand versus responding to demand. So what does that mean? Marketing and sales in the future, I'd say now, but for some of you in the future, if you're watching this, so like moving forward from today, has changed. So the percentage of each generation who say social media is their preferred channel for product discovery, you can see the numbers are growing each and every year. So if you target millennials, 45% of millennials say social media is how they're discovering new products and services, right? 39% for Gen Z. If you just look at all generations, 27%. That number continues to rise. And we're looking at things like reports from Google where they're saying, hey, you have to create this content. We call it EAT, which is experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So as you develop your content strategy, think about how you can weave in proof that the writer or the person running your website has the expertise, the firsthand experience, the authority and trust. They actually deserve to be listened to, right? I'm already shared with you my track record, a decade in agency, a decade building my own and having served over 700 clients. I'm here sharing facts with you right now and strategies that have worked for me and hundreds of other agencies that are just like you, right? So if you're new to my world, you're probably starting to get a little bit of sense of my experience and or my level of authority as it relates to where we are at in our relationship, right? Then we have things where it's like, we got to create content that's worth talking about and sharing. So many agency owners still aren't out there demonstrating their expertise in the world. And so in 2024, if you want to appear on search results, what you create needs to be ramped up. Your success is going to be tied to whether you can create content that's much better than AI generated content. I'm sure you guys see it. You guys go on LinkedIn or wherever and you see content, you're like, I'm pretty sure that was AI that wrote that. It kind of lacks some soul and it lacks personality sometimes. Some people are just straight up copy and pasting. And hey, if that's how you get started, great. But in the end of the day, you need to start focusing on how you can come out and be so visibly not AI to be trusted right now and sharing valuable insights to be looked at as an authority in the marketplace. So this study from Curve shared that on average, B2B buyers go through 13 pieces of content before making a purchase decision. You might have heard this data before. So imagine you have no content out there, but your competitors do. They're going to be more likely to get information from your competitors and be more inclined to make a buying decision from them because they're out in the world sharing information and being valuable while you're sitting there not doing anything. What that means is sales will be more about just, are you a good fit for your client? Because most of the selling will have been done before they ever even got on the phone with you. And so Google has this thing called the 7-11-4 rule. It's based on a concept that suggests how consumers make buying decisions. And so the rule states that customers spend 7 hours researching products, 11 touch points across online and offline sources, and 4 different locations, including your website, social media, and in person. So as I'm sitting here, even recording this to you, I'm thinking in my head, this might be the 7th hour for one of you in your decision to ever even consult with us. You might have been following a bunch of our other content. We release videos every single week. By the way, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. You might have connected with us through a Facebook ad or seen me on LinkedIn or on Instagram, and then you found out I had a YouTube channel and you're on one of 11 touch points and or you're on our email list, right? You might have been to one of our events. And so there's these different locations and you can see how, just think about your buying experience, how this actually plays true. So here's my belief. What does that mean? That when you create content, you need to be creating content with a strategy. And so we believe that all content does 4 things. And I won't be able to go into this full strategy, but the content compass is a tool that we use in our business and with our clients to make sure that any piece of content we are creating is helping our prospects do one of these 4 things. So the first one is to build connection. And so we actually have 3 different ways in which we build connection. Again, I can't go into all of that today. And I have a whole nother video, I'll link it up in the description, where I actually go through this specific compass. So first, if you're creating a piece of content, ask, is this building connection? Or is it demonstrating expertise? Or is it providing proof? And lastly, is it inviting action? So many agencies we come across, they're even out there creating content. You know, they might check the box on building connection and demonstrating expertise, but they just never invite action, right? They always fall short and they just leave out the invite action. And they're like, well, I feel like I'm creating content for content's sake. Yeah, because you're never trying to convert the eyeballs and the attention that you generated from building connection, demonstrating your expertise, and maybe even, as I said, providing proof, but you're forgetting the last step. And so no one's reaching out to you. You're not starting conversations, etc. And so when you have content that actually does one of these four things, and heck, a combination of all of them, the outcome is you build trust, right? You build trust. People start to see you. Oh my gosh, this person is real. They have valuable insights. They're consistent. They show up in service all the time. Their content's always out there to help people, right? I'm actually learning about this area of expertise because of this person. They are valuable. And so when you think about this, when we kind of compare how the traditional model operates from a lead gen perspective, it's like, well, you're always desperate for leads because you don't stand out and you can't pinpoint your exact audience. If you don't know who you were talking to, how do you expect to find them? Whereas in the new model, which again, so that leads to leads are difficult to come by. In the new model, you actually become the agency that people look to for guidance, leadership, and authority, right? Clients are attracted to you organically. You have a steady flow of demand because the sales will be more about a fit, right? It's a fit conversation. So when I talk about this, what I really want you to take home is, man, the number of people we talk to that are like, my biggest bottleneck is leads. And I say, okay, well, who do you serve? And they list off like 15 different types of people that all have different problems. And each of those people get different solutions. It's like, well, no wonder you have a difficult time finding opportunities. You can't take any one message to the market to speak to all of them at the same time. And then you actually probably have paralysis by analysis, right? You don't move because you're like, well, who do I talk to? I'm not sure. I serve all of these people. What do they need? And you just don't do anything. Whereas if you're like, oh, I'm going to go after this one person, you could create a marketing strategy and have a message that speaks to the pains, problems, wants, aspirations of that person. And so you really want to, again, focus in the new model. We're actually going to focus on a specific person. And when you do this, clients are actually simpler to find. And better yet, when you create content, they find you. So that's the second principle. The third principle is to systematize and stabilize. So there are 4 core systems that we talk about in our business. I think every single agency owner will have to create. And so if you want to have higher profits, smoother sales, and predictable delivery where you're not involved as the founder every single day, we need to install a few systems. So first and foremost, every system is going to be built off of and have to align with your core offer. What is that core solution? So what is the problem that you solve? What is your process to solve it? What is the price? What is your unique point of view in this space? How is it positioned? Okay. These are all pieces of a core offer. And this actually feeds things like your delivery system. Now, to me, the delivery system consists of 2 key areas. 1, your on-ramp, which is how you onboard new clients. And 2, your client service experience. And that's really what I mean by that is, how do you make sure that the client that comes in unhappy moves themselves through this process, or you move them through the process to getting the result? Then we have your sales system. And I think there's 2 pieces to this. First, your consultation process. If the way in which you have a sales call is different for each and every client, you need to have a go-to presentation, a script, or a flow that you're following so that how you're feeling that day is irrelevant to you showing up and having a helpful and productive sales conversation. When you just wing it every single time and you come in, maybe you didn't sleep well or something, at home went wrong. You come into that call and you handle it differently that day. Well, guess what? If you had that same thing happen, but then you sit down and you take them through a presentation and a choreographed consultative selling process, you're going to be more likely to close clients and bring them into your world despite how you feel or what your energy level is. So you don't want your business to survive, thrive, or what have you, just due to how you're feeling that day. That's why you need systems. Outside of the consultative piece, we need the engine, which for the sake of this conversation is the CRM. How are you keeping track of the leads that come into your world? What percentage of them are in your pipeline that become prospects? What are you doing to follow up with those opportunities that might be a good fit, but it was bad timing? How do you see that visibly in your world and make sure that you can communicate through text message, phone call, leave notes for you and your team? When you have the consultation process and the engine built, you being able to delegate sales eventually and escape that founder-led sales process is going to be highly likely that you'll be able to pull that off because it's going to be codified already. The next part is the marketing system. Now, we focus on an organic process that leads to conversations. I broke that down in the last principle, so I'm not going to go into that. And then we also use paid advertising to amplify things like our content, to collect leads, which would be something like bringing them into a lead magnet, like a PDF or a video training, where they go into kind of an email nurture sequence, trying to get them to book a call, which if they book a call, they're really just coming over here and entering your sales engine. Now, lastly, we have kind of what I'll say founder flow. How do you as the founder get into your flow so you're not woven into the day-to-day? Well, we use a system called the perfect week system. This is how like you show up each and every day to focus on the business, not just in the business, as well as what we call the calm cycle. The calm cycle is your internal and external communication cadence. So internal meaning how often do you talk to your team, when, about what, and then external, when do you talk to your clients about when, about what, on what platforms, what's an emergency, when should you be reaching out, how do you reach out when there's an emergency? And again, all of that should be getting communicated inside of your on-ramp, because if it's not, that's where a lot of the scope creep and stuff happens. So these are the kind of the core systems. Once we have our core offer dialed in, we actually can build out a delivery experience that we can get clients into momentum via our on-ramp, and we can make sure that they move through the process successfully with the minimum amount of us. When we have a sales system, we're able to have repeatable conversations with our prospects, no matter how we're feeling, so much so that we can hand it off to somebody else. And we never lose track of the opportunities, and we're constantly filling and managing our pipeline because we have automation in place. Then we have a marketing system where we're creating content, our content's creating conversations and or leading into our marketing capture system, lead magnets, video sales letters, webinars, workshops, things like that, so that we can be nurturing prospects and moving them into our sales engine. And lastly, all of this is we have time for because we've figured out how to structure our week to manage all the responsibilities that we have. Because in your business right now, if even at $1 million a year as the CEO, you're probably only wearing that CEO hat like 20% of the time, which is 1 day a week, which means you're wearing other hats the other 4 days of the week, likely some parts of delivery, all these things, right? And we need to have a communications cadence. So those are the four kind of key systems that we really need in place so that we can focus on predictable clients coming in. So like we're seeing consistent sales and clients each and every month, and we're able to start getting our time back as the founder. So when we look at these systems versus the old model, you always have custom jobs. And so there's never ending scope creep. You're constantly needing to hire and outsource different people because and by the way, your training isn't even good. So like you end up finding experts to do things that you're not good at, but they're really expensive. So the margin's automatically really small and you're left with little to show for it. You're growing overhead and you're building management headaches, and you have to scale through people. Whereas in the new model, the simplest outcome to a high value problem, it's a productized service offer that runs on clearly documented processes and a lean team. It's easy to hire for these people because everyone has clearly defined roles. We've chunked out our delivery process, like I said, which means it ultimately requires less people. And when you get really good at this stuff, you'll become known for that thing. And so we're scaling through the systems and the intellectual property. Now, the fourth principle is what we call build down to scale up. Build down to scale up is simply this. Earlier, we told you that there's really a few different types of people. There's your clients, there's subscribers, there's members, and there's customers. Depending upon where you're at in your business and how productized you already are, we have to dial in our core capability first, right? Because what we end up productizing is going to be built off of that core capability. So we would want to go from a la carte to a productized service, get that cash flowing and stabilized. And when we have bought our time back and removed ourselves from enough of the day-to-day business of delivering that productized service, then we come down and we add members, get that flowing, producing revenue, and eventually we can introduce products, right? I see a lot of people that are like up here, they're, right now operating and they're doing their service and they're like, I'm going to go down here and create a course because it sounds easy. But guess what? Selling even $100 course is going to take you a lot of effort. And because you probably aren't doing the marketing, you don't have high enough volume of opportunities to sell enough of these to make any sort of a dent. And fundamentally, this build down to scale up approach is very similar to what Tesla talked about in their part due plan, where they said, we're going to first build the most expensive, beautiful car, a handful of them, the Roadster. booster, right? But we're going to use that money to figure out the production process to make a more affordable vehicle that's still high-end luxury, and we'll sell a higher volume of those. That was the Model S and then the Model X. And they're like, we're going to do that and sell that until we've learned enough and refined the production process that we can actually then roll out a more economic vehicle. And then the Model 3, which, as many of us know, is the highest volume EV that they've sold. Now, then they introduced the Model Y into that same category. They didn't just do all of this at once. They learned and built the credentials from doing the work up here to refine it, iterate it, to make this a no-brainer idea, to make this an easy leap, to make this even possible. Because guess what? Anything that you sell down here from a customer perspective, if you do it right, should just be unbundled from stuff that you're doing and have been doing already at these other levels. So we actually build down the pyramid, build down to serve the different types of buyers in order to scale up our profit. And so when I say you don't actually need a ton more clients to scale your business, you probably don't. Many of our clients have 25 to 50 either clients or subscribers, clients or in their a la carte or productized service clients. And then they're adding members, 25, 50, 100 members, anywhere from, $2,000 to $10,000, $30,000 a year in value, lifetime value. And they're scaling through members, which are, again, down here, higher volume, but lower labor. So your margins are going to be higher. And so you can actually start to serve more people with less effort, less headache, and impact. So that's actually what I mean when I talk about building down to scale up. So now you might be asking, well, how do we actually make this happen? And I want to talk about the path to productization. So right now, many of you guys have a service, right? And I actually learned this first from a guy named Jack Butcher, and I just kind of made it visual for myself. So on one side of the spectrum, we have services. In the middle, as you can see, because it's a sliding scale, we have a productized service. And on the other end, we have programs and products, right? Now, in order to go from a service to a productized service, right? Well, first we have to define a service. A service is work without a process, which means a productized service is work with a process, and programs and products are process without work. And so how do we go from service to productized service? Well, we need to get specific knowledge, right? We need to solve a specific problem for a specific person. And to go from productized service to a program and a product, we first want to stabilize that. We need to stabilize our lead flow, stabilize how much time we're spending, stabilize our income. We don't want feast or famine when we're trying to add a new income stream. So once we're starting to see our revenue and our profits and our time utilization, all those things start to stabilize, then we can bolt on new revenue streams, right? And so that's when we start scaling profits, not people, right? Not having to go that path of just keeping hiring more people to grow, because we've stabilized, we've bolted on new income streams through programs and products, and we can scale through that, right? We bring in more people through that versus having to just do labor-based services. So in totality, when you look at why do I say the game has changed? Well, the traditional model is outdated. We're going from selling services to selling outcomes. We're going from one income stream, which is a la carte retainers, to 3 income streams that are specific. We go from paid for labor and time to paid for knowledge and thinking. We go from selling full service or a la carte to selling specific outcomes or results, clear offers with a clear promise. We go from work being spread out over long periods of time to having, again, selling that specific outcome. We have a lean and mean team. You go from selling whatever your client needs to having a productized offer that runs on clear documented process. You go from being the jack of all trades to being an industry expert. The business depends on you and projects are bespoke and ad hoc to you actually now have true freedom thanks to systems, process, and automation. And you go from 60-hour plus work weeks, right? Some of you might even be higher than that, to 20 to 30-hour work weeks. And you go from no time for the things that matter most, like family, health, and hobbies, to an abundant lifestyle for you and your family. So my question really in the comments, I want to know, do you agree that for you as a service provider, the best way to build your dream business is through productizing your services and packaging your expertise into multiple income streams? Because if so, we would love to help you. We actually have one of our programs. It's called the Trailblazer Collective. And so if you're ready to bolt on those new income streams, we want to help you grow your business by adding these income streams, scale your profits without needing a huge team, getting new clients, right, all the time and having to work more hours. We want you to operate above your business, become a category of one, find your business fun again. So if you're at the stage where your service is dialed, you have that specific person, we might be able to help you start building out your 3 income streams and the systems that we've already been talking about. Now, you might not be at a stage to necessarily go to your members offer just yet, you might say, hey, Greg, well, I need those systems. We have a way to help you there as well. Just check out the link in the description, book a 20-minute discovery call with myself or someone on the team. We can assess your business and see exactly where you are at and see, hey, do we need to like productize your stuff first? Or are you actually ready to launch and bolt on that new income stream that's going to help you start scaling profits? One has to obviously come before the other. We want to solve the right problem in the right order. So I hope you found this training useful. Again, leave your comment below with your biggest takeaways, schedule a quick call to chat with us to see if we can potentially help you. And if you're really intrigued now on what it looks like to be the future agency, what this new agency model looks like, then go check out this video.